everyone. We are live. Students, make sure you check in. All right, we got 10 people. Zoomers, make sure your name matches who you are, please. Okay, let me see. Oh, session ID is that number right there. Right, and then tap the icon that shows up over there. Which one shows up over there? Right there. This. Okay, whatever shows up there, you click whenever it is there. Okay. Boom, you're checked in. All right. Hey, Jose. Hi, Aurelis. How are you? Good seeing you guys here. Eduardo, who told you could be driving? Come on, get home. Alini, I know you're not there. It's Brenda, so make sure you change your name and check in. No, Alini, I know you're on YouTube, but then Brenda was registered with your name on Zoom. Huiping, you're welcome. It's just like kind of the extra push, you know, that post. Speaking of which, Alini, why are you still on YouTube? Didn't you pass the state already? Should be done. Like watching Friends all over again, or or the old seasons of Grey's Anatomy or something. Like just repeat. You don't have Susanna. You don't have a book. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe I'm not. Maybe. I think so. Yeah. Go over there and get. Yeah, real quick. E olha, eu não sei porquê, eu estou a fazer tudo, está-me a pedir sempre a mesma coisa. Mas eu não estou. But I think you're already checked in, let me see. Oh. Hmm? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think it...
mas eu não estou a ver aqui. Não preciso estar aqui.
Oh, no,
Aqui não estou a ver.
no, you don't need that. No. You're good. Okay, sounds good. You got 2 seconds before I start. All right. Alini goes, I told you I was going to be with Brenda all the way to the end. There you go. Give support. Alini, can you tell Brenda to turn her camera? Or she did. Okay. What's up with you guys and being in the car? I'm going to fire everybody. All right. Eduardo, camera's on. All right, so who's ready for 3 chapters today? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 people. All right, cool. Some people are already complaining, like, how many breaks are we gonna get? Right? No breaks today. That's it. Okay. All right. I think everybody checked in. We're on chapter 22, and that is page 347. Before we start, do you have any questions regarding previous chapter? Closings? I think that's what we went over. If you have any questions, drop them now in the chat, whether on YouTube or on Zoom. You can drop questions. Okay. Eduardo, are you saying hi to me or are you cleaning the camera? I don't know, I just see an image like swipe left. Oh no, that's not the app? Okay. All right. Let's go over this. You ready? Got a page, good. You guys ready at home? Thumbs up. Awesome. All right. So, chapter 22. Now, there's a reason why we're doing 3 chapters today. Some of the stuff, one, we're catching up, obviously, because of a few days I had to stop. But some of the stuff in these 2 chapters are coming up after, chapter 23 and chapter 24, are really not heavily tested. And this book is good enough for a broker's course. So there's stuff that's more towards the broker's course. So I don't need to go in detail, right? So I am going to skip a few things or just briefly touch a few things. I'll go in detail on what really matters for you guys as salespeople, okay? So we're going to go over an overview of licensing and regulation. I've mentioned this already in the beginning briefly. We're going to mention again in chapter 25 when we go into the state portion. In this case, the state of New Jersey coming up tomorrow. We're going to start the state portion, right? And it's going to be more like a review of everything, right? So it's very helpful in that sense. So overview of licensing. First of all, who regulates licenses? It's not regulated at a federal level. It's regulated at state level. So every state has their own rules and rules and guidelines regarding licensing. Okay. Now, every state stipulates their own legislation, right? So again, the rules, regulations that we must abide by as licensees. And this was to establish personal, educational, and professional requirements for obtaining a license. Establish statutory guidelines of professional conduct and continuing education to maintain a license. Establish a regulatory entity to administer and enforce licensing, and authorize the regulatory body to create regulations and procedures that will enable it to discharge its legal responsibilities. Jose just wrote PSI. So no, PSI is actually a testing center that's authorized by the state to administer the state exam, but they're not the regulatory agency. PSI, again, is just for testing. The regulatory agency, for instance, what we have is called the Real Estate Commission here in New Jersey. Others might have different names. But here is the New Jersey Real Estate Commission. Now, for all students who are planning to enter the field of practice, it is vitally important to understand the state real estate license laws and their effect on one's envisioned career in real estate. Since real estate is a large and complex industry, students must investigate local licensing requirements for specific activities. For example, it is likely that a state has a special license requirement for appraisers. On the other hand, a state may require no license at all for one who works in corporate real estate. All 50 states licensing requirements have licensing requirements for practicing brokers and agents. Where state laws and regulations conflict with federal laws, state laws prevail. So usually this is something that doesn't work like that. Usually federal is superior to anything. This is the only time that you're going to have a state law to be stronger or enforceable, more so than the federal law. Josh, are we supposed to sign that document now? Oh, okay. If you guys received an email for you to sign a document, that's because in the beginning you received the email. It's like resent invitation. When you sign up for the class, you're supposed to receive a document to e-sign. That's the student registration form. So if it's not complete by the time that you take the school exam, you won't be able to move forward. So I got to have that registration signed if you haven't done it yet. Okay? So yeah, whenever you have a chance, Josh, just do it. Obtaining the real estate license. Now, again, from state to state, they have differences in what requires a license and what doesn't require a license. So what kind of activities, okay? Generally, any person who performs real estate on behalf of another, for consideration must be licensed. So we're going to repeat this again tomorrow, but if you're trying to help somebody in the real estate transaction, whether it's a lease or a sale, and you expect to get paid from it, that's what consideration is, right? Consideration is you expecting to get some type of compensation from it, then you must have a license. If you're helping for free, do I need a license? No. You're helping for free, no problem, right? But if you expect some type of compensation, whether it's money, a car, which sometimes could happen. I actually, it's funny because a couple days ago, one of our agents was saying that he went to a listing presentation, right? And the guy had a car in the garage that he asked, hey, it's a normal question. We got to ask what's included and excluded with the sale of the house. Because it was an inheritance, he's just letting go of the house. He just wants the money, doesn't want to deal with the house, right? So the agent asked, is the car included, the pickup truck included in the sale, right? And so that was a question. If it was included in the sale, maybe he would negotiate that because he says he really liked that pickup truck. He would negotiate that as a part of the commission, maybe. I don't know. But a car could be consideration. That's something important. Josh, we're in class, man. You could be doing that during the break, before, after. But yeah, New Jersey, it's a great question though, but I'm just saying, going through the document right now is not essential. But the registration does state that in New Jersey, and if you guys search this about New Jersey law, online hours are not permitted to get your license. But yes, just like you wrote, those rules did not change. Like, it's not effective yet, even though it is changing. That's why I still did not change in the registration form. But we have a temporary approval to do online classes as of last April. So again, it's not effect into law yet. It has not changed online if you guys go search. but there is a bulletin issued by the commission that allows the schools temporary to do this online. Okay, so I'll still give you the hours. Don't worry about it. Even though you're reading a document instead of being here in class right now, but I'll still give you the hours. Gotta mess with him. And Ron's like, yeah, take those hours away. All right. So here it says right here, however, an investor searching for a property to buy does not need to be licensed because the investor is not acting on behalf of another party. Okay, so if you're buying your own house or you're selling your own house, do you need a license? No. Helping somebody, now you need a license. If there's consideration, and consideration includes money compensation, exchange of free services, or any other valuable good or service that a person expects to be paid. Some people get stuck with this one. If it's an exchange of free services, where's the compensation? Right? Anybody? Any opinion on this? If it's an exchange of free services, how is this considered consideration or compensation in the transaction? Ron, future considerations. Okay, still free services. You are paying with a service. Explain that, Sebastian. Andrea M, partnership. Susanna? Mediani, any opinion? Nope. Okay. I get a shake of the head and a nope. Got it. Anybody else? It's free services. If it's free, right? Then how is this considered a consideration in a transaction? Googling doesn't help, okay? Okay.
And you guys chat this free service.
Okay. Okay. Andrea M, I can give also services. Hold on to that one, okay? I can give also services, okay. These Portuguese people, I tell you. All right, Sebastian. You didn't hear that, right? Hold on. Sebastian says, I'll help you sell this house, but I got some work I need done at my house that you can help me out. Okay, there you go. Quid pro quo, there you go. You want to speak? You on the microphone? All right, let's give the microphone to Andrea.
Okay.
There you go.
So, hi Bruno. Hi
Hey.
everyone. So, my idea was like, you are my friend. You are a mechanic, for example. And I'm a makeup artist, for example. And in exchange on your services, I can provide my own services as well for you.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And
So,
I was trying to say like a partnership, but it's like more like a synergy, and that includes the both interested parties.
correct. So you're right on that. It's exactly that, because you're giving some type of service. It almost becomes like a partnership. Somebody's getting compensated. So the thought process is correct. I just want you to think about this. If there's a service, there's time spent. If there's time spent, even though it was free, there was an exchange, because there's value to my time, right? That service as a mechanic or as a construction company, like Sebastian was saying, right? That service has a value, okay? Even though we say free, like I'm not going to charge you, right? There is a value, and that's why I'm putting it in exchange. You guys understand? So a free service is never free. Time equals money. Simple as that. Okay? So that's why you cannot say, hey, in exchange, I'll fix this for you, or I'll do this for you in exchange. So don't charge me, right? Because I'll do this for you, right? There is an exchange. There is a value to it, right? Good?
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Nope. Marlon Barter, yeah, exchange. Whipping was just writing that. Service as value even if offered free. Yep. Absolutely. It's the time. So, the following services generally fall into the license required category. So if you're trying to do any of these, most of the states require you to have a license. If you're brokering a sale, lease, or exchange transactions, which is what we do. If you are managing a property, if you are appraising, counseling, syndicating, or auctioning. In case you guys do not know, when you go to a sheriff sale auction, the sheriff should have a real estate license because he's selling somebody's property, right? The difference, the way they do things at sheriff sale, so you guys understand, it's like wholesaling. They temporarily give that power or the title to the sheriff at the auction. Just like I was mentioning wholesaling yesterday, right? So the sheriff becomes part of the contract at the time of auction. That's why when somebody wins the auction, you receive what's called a sheriff's deed. It's the sheriff transferring the property to you. Not the homeowner that lost the property, not the bank, is the sheriff. Otherwise, a license might be required. Okay? Now, within these service areas, states may have more specific requirements or exemptions depending on the nature of the activity. For example, some states include business brokerage in the business category, in brokerage category, while other states do not. Similarly, some states allow certain forms of counseling while others do not. The point is to find out what kind of license, if any, your state requires for real estate activity that you are pursuing. So as salespeople, all the states have a requirement of licensing. Okay? Appraising, not every state has a requirement of license, as an example. Some of the exemptions. If you are an employee of a property owner who are not paid on a per transaction basis, such as on-site rental agent in an apartment complex. If you're an employee of the owner of the building, then you're an extension of the owner. Okay? If you're a property manager hired as a company or as a third party, not a salaried employee, then you need a license. Here it says if you are employee of the property owner. Okay? Employees of transient lodging facilities like motels and hotels, managers of residential condos and co-ops, dealers in cemetery lots, attorneys performing regular legal duties for a principal, or persons acting in a court-appointed capacity. These last two that you guys see here, attorneys performing regular legal duty for a principal. Let's say there's a divorce going on and the attorney is helping them, right, sell the home. If this is a one-time deal, because that's what we agreed to, one-time deal, then the attorney might be exempt from the transaction, from having a license, right? But if the attorney engages in regular real estate activities, sale, leases, and so on, he or she still must have a real estate license. And the last one, persons acting under court-appointed capacity. If you're under a court-appointed capacity, that means the judge said, hey, Susanna, you're going to help Lydiane sell the house. Because I'm the judge and I'm giving you that authority, right? It's kind of like I am the law. And I'm ordering you to do something. So we think of executors of wills or trustees, These people are appointed by the judge to handle, like a trustee in a bankruptcy. The trustee is the one, or somebody appointed by the court is the one handling the whole transaction if a forced sale is required. Again, court order. I'm not doing it because I want to. I'm doing it because I get paid to, and appointed by the court. All right? So these are two exemptions. State licensing agencies issue two principal types of licenses, which is the broker license and the salesperson license. These are the basic license. Broker.
Sales and
Yeah.
sell. And brokers, what?
Same thing.
What is the difference?
I'm gonna go over that. I'm gonna go over that right now. So, within these, sorry, Michaela, these classes have helped me so much. Thank you for having it on YouTube. You're very welcome. Make sure you ask questions then. So within these types, there are variations based on active or inactive status of the license, business identity, and professional capacity of the licensee. So let's look at the difference between the broker's license and the salesperson license. First of all, you can be a broker as an individual, active or inactive. Okay? Why would you be inactive? Because you did not renew your license yet, or maybe because you're not part of an agency yet. So that will happen also in the salesperson. You could be active or inactive. If you are not appointed with an agency, your license is automatically inactive. If you're an active individual, you have your broker's license active, obviously. You could be a corporation, like we have New Direction Realty is a corporation, right? Which brokers has to have at least one broker responsible for the corporation. Right? Could be an LLC, could be a partnership, right? You can even be a non-resident broker. That means you don't reside in the state where your license is active. So I reside in New Jersey. Can I have a broker's license in Pennsylvania? Sure. I'm going to be called non-resident broker. Okay? As far as salesperson license, you could be an individual salesperson license. So we are salespeople, period, right? Or we can have an upgrade. We are not ready to be the boss, right? But we are ready for the upgrade, the next step in education, which is becoming a broker salesperson. Okay? So what is a broker? Let's start with that one. A broker is the one that represents the clients. A broker is the one that represents the clients. I think we've mentioned this before, right? In the brokerage activities, right? A broker is the one that represents the clients. And then you're confused about the salesperson. So the broker represents the client, and who am I, right? You are an agent of the broker. So the broker is also a salesperson, just the one responsible for all the agents. He's the salesperson, let's put it like that, okay? So the broker sets the rules of the office, right? As long as they're nothing illegal, but he or she sets the rules of the office, and we must follow. Now, broker's license right here are typically for 1 or 2 year period. Here we have, in the state of New Jersey, for example, it's every 2 years, right? And a broker who's acting under another name must register the name as a fictitious business entity, right? For instance, the broker for our company is Pedro Mota, but then the company is New Direction Realty, right? Just like I'm the director of the school, right? My name is Bruno, but the school is New Direction School, right? So I'm the one representing the school. The most common brokerage identity is a sole proprietorship. Other business identities, however, may broker real estate. So we talked about about having a corporation, partnership, LLC, and so on. So it doesn't have to be sole. It doesn't have to be me by myself. I can put it under corp status, right? So in order for these entities to perform real estate services, certain individuals within the organization generally must maintain an active broker's license. And again, we're going to go over this in the state portion. But for instance, here in the state of New Jersey, at least one person in the company, one of the members of the company, must be the broker, the one responsible for everybody. All right, can we have more than one? Sure. But there's one person that must be responsible for everybody, and that's what we're saying here. Sorry. Ali. Bruno, I've taken the PSI exam now 3 times, still have not passed. There was recently a question of who is the licensee is a sub-agent to. All right, great. So, Ali, hold on to that thought. And because I'm going to go over the sub-agent real quick. As far as taking the exam 3 times the PSI, reach out to me, send me the score reports, and I'll see how I can direct you, okay? So 908-418-8325. 908-418-8325. WhatsApp is the best way to reach out to me, okay? So just shoot me the score reports, and I'll see more or less where you're having difficulty with. Now, a broker who does business at locations other than the principal office requires a branch office license. So our main office is right here in Newark, right? Newark, New Jersey. Can I have an office in Princeton? Can I have an office in California? Right? Can I have an office in Japan? Can I have an office in India? Sure. Those will be considered branch offices because the main office, the headquarters, is here in Newark, New Jersey. Okay, so every time I have an additional location, it's called branch office, and I cannot just open an office. I need to register the license to that office as well. Because if business is going to be conducted out of that location, the Real Estate Commission must know which agents are operating out of there, right? And which market they're attacking. Because if something goes wrong, ultimately, it's still my responsibility here, as an example. You got it? Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Gotta have somebody there licensed if that's what the country requires. In that country, yes. But if you're planning on doing referral services and you're in a different country, well, where are you referring from? Then this country still requires an international referral form, and things go according to the laws here. So if you expect to get paid money here, you still have to have an office. You need to register that office. It gets complicated. Yeah. All right. Now, a broker's license, as it says right here, I'm sorry. Well, the branch office must be licensed. State laws vary as whether the branch manager requires a broker's license or not. The manager, okay? But the broker, as an example, let's say it's me, still must be licensed to have that additional office. State of New Jersey, gotta have, each branch office must have somebody that is a licensed broker, broker salesperson, for instance. Ali, one question asked is who can manage a branch office? There you go. So as I just said, it has to be somebody that has enough experience, and it's usually a qualified broker or broker salesperson only in the state of New Jersey. Okay. Again, different states that we just read, different states have different laws. Some of them might not require you to have a license. You could just be an office manager, right? To manage the office. A broker's license authorizes a broker to perform services anywhere within the state borders. So this is important to know. Your license allows you, whether it's a broker or a salesperson, guys. I'm a New Jersey salesperson, licensee. Can I do business in another state? The answer is yes, but not under my name. I can only refer. So this allows the broker to arrange a sale of an out-of-state property as long as the services are conducted within the state, but it also allows a broker from one state to co-broker a transaction with a broker in another state, provided that neither broker performs services in the other's state. Okay? So can somebody from California buy property in New Jersey with me? Oh, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. The property is in Jersey, so yeah, I can operate here, right? Can I help a buyer here buy a property in California? No. I need to find somebody licensed in California and work with them in that scenario, okay? Now, I can have, though, what's called a non-resident license. We just talked about it, which is I don't live in California, but I can apply to be licensed there. My opinion, and guys, that's totally up to you. My opinion, you only need one license. Unless you're becoming the broker and you want to open branch offices all over the United States. Now it's a little different. Maybe you want to have that type of control with the other offices. But as a salesperson, how often are you going to go to California to actively operate there? Right? I got somebody that's going to be 6 months in Georgia, 6 months here, right? So makes sense to have a license in Georgia now, because during the 6 months you're actively pursuing the market there. I'm right next to New York. I don't even have a New York license, because traffic alone is almost the same thing as flying to Georgia. So let somebody else handle it, right? That's my opinion, but to each his own, right? Plus, referral fees from New York are great. It's almost like having a full commission in Jersey. So why go there? Yes. Referral. You'll get a referral license. Yep. Hey, Sanam, how are you? All right, so, and Ali, I received your message. I will reply after class, okay? So, non-resident license empowers a broker to practice in another state. This type of license is commonly issued in areas near state lines where residents of the two states, again, are frequently principals in the transaction. So if I'm right at the border, obviously, like I said, I'm right at the border. I'm like 15 minutes away from New York, but that's on by train and on a good day, right? So, but if I'm the border with PA, for instance, we don't get traffic between New Jersey PA lines. If I live right at the border, if that's my market, why not have a PA license now? If I'm going to run that area, now it kind of makes sense. I'm right there. Other than that, I wouldn't do it. In absence of a non-resident license, a broker's license from one state usually does not confer authority to operate in another state, since there's no reciprocity. What does reciprocity mean? It means that the other states do not recognize our license and we do not recognize theirs. So state of New Jersey, for instance, has no reciprocity with any states. We don't like them, they don't like us. It's as simple as that. If you have the New York license, you have reciprocity with 12 or 13 other states. Meaning you can just go to Pennsylvania, skip Jersey. Get to Pennsylvania and say, hey, I would like to activate my license. I'm a New York licensee. And they'll be like, okay, no problem, activate it. Just pay and you're active. As an example, Jersey says, nope. We have our own laws. It's like the Wild Wild West over here, right? In the East. We have our own laws, so you have to learn our laws, period. So we don't like them, they don't like us. The way it is. However, a licensed broker desiring a license in another state may be excused from some of the licensing requirements that an unlicensed applicant has to meet. So you have to do all the hours in another state? Maybe not. New York and Pennsylvania, for instance, if you're a New York licensee or a Pennsylvania licensee and you want to have the Jersey license, the state of New Jersey might exempt you from the national portion of what we've been doing so far, and tell you, hey, you got to do the Jersey portion only, 15 hours of course. That's it, right? So there might be some exemption, not full, but some exemption to getting your New Jersey license. All right, salesperson. So salesperson may hold an active or inactive license. We already talked about it, depending on whether the agent is currently employed or performing services. As in the case of a broker's license, a salesperson who wishes to leave the business temporarily can voluntarily deactivate the license. You become inactive. The broker salesperson is a salesperson license held by a duly licensed broker who prefers to act as a salesperson on behalf of an employing broker. So again, let's think of it this way. I'm qualified to become a broker. I'm qualified to open up my own business, but maybe I'm not financially ready to do so. Maybe I'm not emotionally ready to do so. Maybe I'm not psychologically ready to do so, right? A lot of reasons. Or maybe I'm helping my broker open a branch office. That might be the reason. So I become what's called a broker slash salesperson. Why? Because technically I'm operating as a salesperson. That's what I'm doing. I qualify as a broker, so if tomorrow I want to get up and leave and open my own office, I can, because I have the broker license. But I'm still under the principal broker, or what we call broker of record, which is the one responsible for the whole agency. So until I leave, I'm still a salesperson. Once I leave, I'm a broker of my own business. You got it? So broker salespeople, what are they? They are salespeople that happen to pass the broker's exam. For now, that's what you have to think. Salespeople that pass the broker's exam. They're really not brokers. They're qualified to become one if they want, but they're still salespeople. They act as salespersons. Any questions here? Yeah, questions? Donna? Well, you already said no. Anybody at home? No, go ahead. Question. I love kind of weird questions. We get them all the time.
Keep saying the same thing that everybody else under. That opposite same forehead.
So from state to state. From state to state, that might change. But the traditional organization, actually, let me do here. Traditional organization would be broker, and this broker is called the broker of record. Okay, that's the one responsible for everybody. And then under the broker, you're going to have 3 lines. You have broker, salesperson, keyword salesperson, right? Sorry, not broker. Salesperson. You have referral. And we have salesperson. So under the broker salespeople, we have 10 broker salespeople in the office. And one could be the manager of the branch office. But they're still operating under the broker. Okay? Broker of record. This of record means he or she is the one responsible for all the other licensees. Got it? Now, the reason why I have it like this, tomorrow when we go over the state portions, state of New Jersey, for instance, changed something here, where they took the referral license out of here, right? And they made you open a second office, virtual office, so a company within your office. So we still have a broker of record, but this is the active company, and this becomes the referral company. The broker is the same. Yep. Okay, so same. But in the state of New Jersey, now we have salespersons. We no longer have the referral license, salesperson. And we can have also the broker, salesperson, acting as referral agents only. Okay, so basically it creates a separation, and your licenses are exactly the same. It's just whether you're placed with a referral agency or you're placed with an active agency, whether you can only refer or can you participate in the deal. That's the only thing that changed in the state of New Jersey, but we'll go over that more in detail tomorrow. All right, voided license. Voided license. Can a license be void? The answer is absolutely yes. It could expire. That means you had a period of time to renew your license and you didn't, so it expired. It could be suspended or it could be revoked. Just like your driver license. If you get too many points on your driver license, what can you do? Give it back to me, right? If you're a repeat offender, like a DWI, for instance, what can they do? Suspend your license for X amount of years, then you can get it back, right? Or permanently revoke it. You'll never drive again. All right, so this could happen also with our license. Again, we'll go more in detail tomorrow when we get to the state portion, because each state, again, determines how you can get your license suspended or revoked, right? Or why. In addition, it is important to note that if an employing broker's license expires, this is very important, guaranteed question or your money back. If an employing broker's license expires, is suspended or revoked, okay? The licenses of all the broker's salespeople are likewise voided. This is key. Oh yeah. I mean, didn't I just go over this? Right? If this is the hierarchy in your company, we have broker, and then we have broker, salesperson, and salesperson. If this person's license is suspended, what's going to happen to yours? You got nobody responsible for you. So your license becomes void as well until you move to a different agency, for instance. Right? If you want to. But one thing you need to remember, because the state exam or school exam might have this question, there's two answers that are very similar, right? Which is very similar. No, they actually could be valid depending on what's being asked, right? So for instance, if the broker's license is suspended, revoked, right, or expired, what happens to your license? Two answers are going to be there. One of them says your license is suspended till the end of your license period, meaning if you have another 6 months or another year or another 2 years, your license is suspended, right? And the second answer that could be valid is during that time, you can move to another brokerage, okay? But the questions in the state exam and school exam, the questions are always, what's the immediate consequence? You got it? What's the immediate consequence? Like for instance, you warn your child, hey, don't touch that because it's going to break, right? Once it breaks, what was the immediate consequence? Anybody? You tell your children, don't touch that. Don't touch that, it's going to break. They give you all the warnings, like I'm giving you guys now during the class, right? Give you all the warnings. And then your child goes, like if your child is like mine, my 3-year-old, not the other ones, they already learned better. But the 3-year-old still does not know his limits. So he goes like, yep, I'm going to touch this. He even looks in your face like, like, Shandi, don't touch. Shandi, don't touch. And he, yeah. 3-year-olds. Saddam wrote smack. Is that what you do to your kids? That's the immediate consequence? The immediate consequence is that something broke. That's the first thing that happened. What's going to happen after that? Maybe the smack or timeout or some type of punishment. Yeah. But the immediate consequence is breaking something. You warned that if he keeps on doing it, something is going to be damaged. So in the state exam, that's what you need to remember. Or school exam, that's what you need to remember. There's something called immediate consequences. If the broker's license gets suspended, so does yours. Period. If they ask you in the question, your license got suspended because your broker's license was suspended, what can you do? Now, that's a different story. What can you do now? Move to a different brokerage. Okay? That's why when you take the exam, right, some people keep on asking me, let me do the practice exam, let me do the practice exam. If you don't have all the info, or if you're not ready for it, Muhammad, why are you smiling? If you're not ready for it, what's the point of trying it? These are a few hints I'm going to give you. Like, pay attention, read the questions. It's key. Got to read the questions. Depending on what they ask, there's two different answers. Okay? Let's see what we got here. Jose, so with a referral license, can you refer to a different broker of record? To answer that, Jose, all referrals must go through your broker, no matter what, because you're with your broker. But can I refer to a different entity? That's what you're asking. The answer is yes. For instance, New Direction Realty exists only in New Jersey. But if I find a broker that's an agent that's from a Remax in Florida, as an example, right? I'm going to refer to that agent, but the payment will always go between brokers. Because remember, the broker is the one, we said that before, the broker is the one that represents the client, not the agent. The agent represents the broker who happens to represent the client. So, Ali, if you're still listening, that's what it is. The sub-agency is right there. Because we are sub-agents of the clients, because we're by chain, right? So let's say seller, right, hires the broker, right, who has the agent, salesperson, let's say, okay? Because the broker is the one that represents the client, the broker is the agent. Because we are agents of the broker, we are now considered sub-agent. You got it? So that's the pecking order, because we don't do any deals directly with the seller or directly with the buyer. We are there, yes. I'm the one seeing you, yes. But on behalf of my broker. All activities, when I go door knocking, I'm saying, hey, my name is Bruno from New Direction Realty. You understand? It's not, hey, my name is Bruno. No, my name is Bruno from New Direction Realty. In fact, we're going to go over this later. You have to present yourself as somebody from an agency. Because you do not represent yourself, and you're not going to represent the client only. Okay? The broker is. Any question? Next thing he wrote was, are we allowed to refer to only one broker? Okay, I answered that. Go ahead, what's your question? For tomorrow? Okay. Yeah. Save it. For tomorrow. Do you already know where you're going to go work? Do you have an agency already? Okay, so she says she's going to work with our agency. She's already wants to kill our broker. All right, what if the broker dies? I'm not the broker. I'm so glad right now. Poor Pedro, right? What if the broker dies? Same thing. Your license will be automatically suspended. Unless, and every state has different rules for this, we're going to talk about it also tomorrow, unless one of us steps up, right? One that's qualified, according to state laws, steps up and says, hey, I would like to become the temporary broker so that all the deals that are pending conclude. Again, this goes from state to state. Now, I'm going to become a temporary broker, but that means that within a certain period of time, I have to activate my license as the actual broker of record. So I have to go to class, and I have to pass the state exam within a certain period of time. Right? Again, state to state, this changes. All right. Other requirements to become a broker or a salesperson, to become a licensee. There are personal requirements. Every state is different, but each applicant must be of legal age and mentally competent. In addition, you may be required to have a high school diploma or equivalent. You have to have good moral character, and you have to complete the educational requirements. For instance, here you're completing certain hours. Each state is different with that as well. Like New Jersey, 75. Texas is like 180 hours or something like that. So every state has different requirements. Florida says, hey, you're going to have the pre-license and the post-license. So 2 years later, you have to do 90 hours post-license classes. Yep. Every state is different. Education prerequisites for a broker's license usually consists of additional real estate courses or other advanced courses, including college business courses. So if you're a salesperson, you're doing, for instance, here 75 hours. You want to become a broker. We're going to go over this tomorrow. In New Jersey, you need 3 hours as an active salesperson, 3 years, before you can actually become a broker. And you need to complete more hours of education, another 150 hours of education on top of it. Okay. You need to have, like I said, experience. So I did say 3 years here, for instance, right? If you want to become a broker. You need to be affiliated with an agency if you want to activate your license. So therefore, you should. If you're not affiliated with an agency, your license is inactive. Every state has rules regarding the application for your license. You need to do, besides the course that you're doing here, you need to do background check, provide references, depending on what you're doing, prior experience in real estate, fingerprinting, and pay the required fees. So yes, you're going to have to do fingerprinting, which you can do at any time. A lot of people wait until last minute, until they pass the state exam, and then they're going to do the fingerprinting. The thing about that is that it takes roughly 2 weeks for your background check to get to the real estate commission. So if you pass today, you go to a broker, let's say within a week, right? Then you have to wait 2 weeks for the fingerprinting to get to the real estate commission, and then it could take another week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks after that to activate your license. So you just lost roughly a month and a half. So what I usually recommend, and then it's totally up to you, is get your fingerprinting done as soon as possible. All right? If you have access to our student portal, which Zoomers you do, and you guys do as well, there's a link there for you to to schedule your fingerprinting. So do it now. Get it done. Yes. Why are you looking at your fingers? This is the best question ever. So, fingerprint question coming through. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm the only one that can turn red, not you. Come on. Look at your fingerprinting. So they're usually valid for, I think, up to 6 months. Which makes no sense because you could do your fingerprints today, commit a crime 5 minutes later. But, so if you guys plan on committing a crime, make sure you do it after your fingerprints. Not right away. That question alone says what she's about to do. Kill Pedro.
Yeah.
That was not it?
Eu sou bem que nós falamos aqui.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Jose just wrote experience on listing and closing. So the experience requirement, guys, by the way, the experience requirement for you to become a broker, your current broker is the one that's going to certify what kind of experience you have. So they're going to sign off on a letter that says you have experience either listing, whether it's sales, for residential, for commercial, renting, whatever it is. So they're going to describe what's your experience. The key factor here for you to become a broker is that you've been active for the required period of time as a full-time active as a salesperson. Because quite honestly, the experience, sometimes you could go 10 years without doing anything. Meaning you were a part-timer, meaning you were a some-timer, right? So if you are not active in the business doing different things, right, sales, leases, and so on, then what kind of experience do you have? You have to be a full-time agent within those, let's say here in Jersey, it's 3 years. Okay? If you're a part-time, can you become a broker 3 years from now? No. Okay? You have to pass a state license examination, which Jose had mentioned before, PSI exams. Different states, different approved centers. So here, Jersey is PSI, and the majority of the United States, they use PSI as approved, okay, as the approved center. And then every so often, in the case of New Jersey's every 2 years, every so often you have to do CE credits. Like we are in CE credit season right now. So until here in Jersey, until June 30th, people have to complete their CE credits, right? We're going to talk about it tomorrow, again, more in detail. But CE credits is continuous education. Every 2 years, I got to give you more info, more training. And part of it is going back to basics and telling you about ethics, right? For instance, you have to complete ethics every 2 years in order to renew your license. So you cannot renew your license unless you've completed education. Okay. All right, license regulation. Yep, Jose just wrote 2 hours on ethics. Yep. All right, license regulation. Who regulates the license? It's the Real Estate Commission. Again, every state has different names. It could be Real Estate Commission, it could be Real Estate Department, or some similar name. What do? They have the authority to oversee licensing process, administer all aspects of the license laws, receive and deliberate on consumer complaints, and handle problems between licensees. So if you have an issue with another licensee, we don't go sue right away. We put complaints, or we try to mediate the situation first. All right, that's usually the recommendations. Okay. The structure varies from state to state, but usually they have regulatory, judicial, and administrative authority. So what does that mean? They create their own regulations, right? So they're like the judge, the jury, and the executioner. Okay, so they create the rules, they manage the rules, and they sentence based on those rules. They don't need another authority to come in and do so. They don't have to take you to court. They can make a decision independently. Okay. I'm going to skip this right here because tomorrow we're going to go more in detail. Regulatory standards of practice and conduct. So again, they create guidelines pretty much to prevent fraud or misrepresentation, concealment, collusion, violations of fiduciary duty, negligence, failure to make required disclosures, practicing law in completing or interpreting contracts, mismanaging escrow funds, earnest money deposits, advance fees, and rentals, making improper commission arrangements with clients, customers, or other licensees, accepting or paying illegal kickbacks and referral fees, false or misleading advertisements. So I think so far you guys remember that we covered all this, right? We've covered it in agency, chapter 11. We covered in chapter 17 in financing. We just covered yesterday in closings, right? So all this information has been covered. Non-compliance with office identity requirements, I mentioned today. You have to advertise yourself and your office, because people need to know who's responsible for you. Got it? I see agents that they create websites or Instagram accounts or Facebook accounts, and they say, hey, Bruno, realtor, done. That's it. Reach out to me if you want to buy or sell. Who's Bruno Realtor? Right? So he has to say, Bruno Realtor, New Direction Realty. That's it. Because if something goes wrong, they need to be able to sue the agency that's responsible for Bruno. You guys understand? So those are the requirements. All right? Or if you exceed your authority as a broker or a salesperson, they will handle, there's regulations and also ways for them to handle the complaints. All right? I'm going to skip all this because I already covered, and it will be addressed tomorrow. Okay? All right, guys. So we're done with this chapter. I just need a quick break so I can set up the next chapter, and also for YouTube purposes. It is now 6:48. We're going to be back at 6:55. Okay? So I'm going to give you a very quick break before we jump into the next chapter. Make sure 6:55 you're back. All right, YouTubers, I'm going to close this session, open another one right after. If you subscribe, you're going to receive a notice. If not, just pay attention to the next session. Okay, see you in a bit.